we're going to get started on the artist talks for Homesick, the International Jury Art Exhibition held at the Artifacts Trolley Barn Gallery in Poughkeepsie, New York. Welcome. My name is Joanna Frang. I'm the Executive Director at the Barrett Art Center and also, which is now an affiliate of the Artifact. And so I'm just really excited to be here tonight to share this project that we worked on, actually that was worked on by a number of people and includes the artists who are featured here tonight speaking. So firstly, I want to thank a number of the planning and the people who made this possible. Mary Kay Lombino, who's the Deputy Director and Curator at the Francis Lehman Loeb Art Center, and the 5 Poughkeepsie youth who were involved in the process as theme generators and curators. We had Michaela Lanier, who's here tonight, Gypsy Medina, Nazir Scott, Lily Santora, and Jaze Reeder, who developed the Homesick exhibition theme. They selected the works of art from over 600 submissions, and they helped install the 72 artworks that are over at the Trolley Barn Gallery in Poughkeepsie today. The mission, I just want to let everyone know a little bit about this new initiative from the Artifact. The mission of the Artifact at the Trolley Barn Gallery is to train youth as leaders who will catalyze the community through arts and also re-energize downtown Poughkeepsie. We're really empowering local youth, like the young people who were involved in this project, with the skills, experience, and mentorship to guide the gallery exhibitions and to represent our community. Our vision is to develop the space into a dynamic, art-filled, inspirational space that is truly for the community and by the community. And with that, I will hand this over to each of the youth jurors who is here tonight to introduce themselves, just so you get to know who they are. And then they will introduce the artists who are here to talk about their work and their practice tonight. So I will hand it over first to Michaela.
Hi, my name is Michaela Lanier, and I'm from Poughkeepsie, New York, and I go to Poughkeepsie High School, and I'm one of the youth jurors of Homesick. And I'll hand it off to my fellow youth juror, Lily, to introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Lily Santora. I'm 15 and I go to Arlington High School. I'm a freshman. Who do I?
So I'll introduce the first artist, who is Joe Cosme, and they are an amazing artist. They graduated with a bachelor's in fine arts and photography. Their mission is to spread awareness and be more political about their voice and everything. And I personally love their art the most. No offense to the other artists. I love all of you guys. So I'll hand it off to Joe Cosme.
Thank you, Michaela. Oh, okay. I'm a total newbie at Zoom. Okay, so I made a little slideshow with a bit of my work so you can get to know more about what I do. My first language is Spanish, so I'm gonna read most of it because that way I don't get so nervous with the English and stuff. Hope you don't mind. Okay, so let me put the presentation on. So, okay, I should put it, here? Does that work? Okay. Are you able to see it? Okay, cool. Thank you. So Michaela already gave me a really good introduction, so I'm gonna just pass on this slide. I decided to start with the piece that was featured in the Trolley Barn at Artifact Homesick. This is Amor es Combativo, which translates to love is activism. So that said, I want to say that most of my art, which you're about to see some of, encompasses who I am mostly. which is that I am Puerto Rican, I am gay, and I am a woman. I lived in Puerto Rico until I was 30 and moved away because of the devastation, lack of jobs, and displacement caused after Hurricane Maria. One of the reasons I moved to Seattle was to pursue my art, but my art always leads me back to Puerto Rico, which is how this piece came to be. I was feeling very homesick because I was watching from Seattle as my friends and loved ones took to the street to protest against the then corrupt governor at the time, Ricardo Rosselló. The protest lasted around a week and a half, day and night, 24/7. People protested on Ford tracks, kayaks, horseback, playing bomba en plena, hitting wooden spoons against pots, which then became like a symbol of the protest, you name it. And well, Puerto Ricans are well known to being very inventive and passionate, which I think comes not only from being from an island, but also because of the colonial relationship with the USA. We are limited not only to the shores, but also what the federal government allows us. So as I was watching the protest and feeling homesick, I immediately afterwards, when I came home to visit, I wanted to pay a homage to the protesters. And I thought it was extremely ironic also that behind them in the Capitol, it says people's rights, freedom, and dignity above anything else, which I thought was extremely ironic because all three things are striped from absolutely everybody in the island, and especially so to the LGBTQ plus community, where conversion therapy is still legal back home. Anyway, so also my inspiration always comes for that reason from my anger and rage, which I've learned can be a beautiful thing because you just have to learn how to channel it. And in my case, it's through art. And which is why I ended up making a piece like this one. So another piece that I made regarding back home was Crónicas de un futuro catastrófico, which means Chronicles of a Catastrophic Future. This is a tarot deck inspired Arcana Mayora. I am mainly a photographer, so I did major in photography, but I do know how to draw, and I like to do like mixed media. So this is why I ended up doing this piece. This was a reaction towards the lack of action from the federal and local government. So this piece tells the story of what we all went through after the hurricane, and how it also is kind of a response on how the hurricane was a bad thing that happened to us, but mainly so is our current status in Puerto Rico in our relationship with our governments and such. So this is also to speak, like I put the slides here to also demonstrate like part of my thought process and creative process is doing conversations about things that we are worried about. And this night we were all talking, like we were still powerless, without power from the hurricane, like months after, and we were all talking like what would it be like if we all got our card reading, and that everybody would have gotten the same results pretty much. So yeah, that's one of my pieces. And then on the right, we see another one I made with Amores Combativo. It's in front of a Puerto Rican black and white flag. Before this, it was sky blue, red, and white, which is the original flag colors. But after the night after the U.S. Independence Day, collective art group called Colectivo La Puerta painted it black as a symbolism of like resistance. And so I thought it was very important to take the photo there as well. Welcome to Paradise, on the other hand, on the left side, is another reaction after the hurricane. I sat in front of palm trees falling apart and dying. I thought it represented well how locals were living and are currently living, and how it is presented to foreigners as a paradise island to come and have fun on vacation, but then everybody else is not really having a great time. So that's why there's a life jacket also representing like it's a sinking ship in a way. And then I also do pieces inspired by mental health and queer and feminist topics. The one on the left, Perpetual State of Crafting in the Dark, would be sort of metaphor I did during quarantine about sometimes while you are opening up, it actually means we are falling apart inside and trying to grasp for some help. And then the one on the right, which is called Censorship Cycles, it's pretty much self-explanatory, which things that we have to endure. It was inspired by a tweet that I read saying something about I wonder if men were as disgusted by rape as they are about periods. So this was inspired by that tweet, sorry. And this is a little bit of my queer work. Pride Puerto Rico I took it at the Pride Parade in 2017. I was reached out by Out Magazine to cover it. For me, it's very important to never forget how Pride always started as a protest, and being queer, proud, and happy is a beautiful thing. So taking this photo fell in line also with my work, and I think it's very important to get out there. And then Carne on the right hand is Queen, No Me La Toque, and she called me to take a photo in the market, and so we took it in a public space, which we were later kicked out of pretty soon after. But the photo, we had time to take a really good artistic approach to this portrait. And then as a sneak peek to projects I'm working on right now, I've been going back to my roots, which is printmaking. So these I made digital, so it was easier to see here since I'm still working on them. Preda straight away also, since Puerto Rico is so Catholic, I grew up Catholic, so there's always like some sort of cynicism and relationship towards that. So I grew up listening to Pray the Gay Away since I was a kid. So I decided to make a joke about that and made this print. And then the one on the left was I Can Barely Live Where You Vacation, is a reaction towards what's currently happening back home, because Act 60 is something that has been enforced currently, which was enforced a long time ago with another name, but now it's back. It's a tax law that incentivizes wealthy people to move to Puerto Rico and take control of our land, exports, historical monuments, agriculture, natural sources. And it pretty much prioritizes every wealthy entrepreneur and stuff to come home to the island and not pay taxes, whereas local businesses have to pay 11.5% of taxes. So this just makes it harder for us to continue living and working there for us, but then make it more of a playground for the wealthy folks to come home. So this is why I made this piece. And yeah, I guess this is it for me. Thank you for listening and having me. Okay, so stop share.
So it looks like here, if anyone from who's watching at home, if you'd like to put a question in the Q&A, you're very welcome to do so. And this is where our two jurors have an opportunity to also add their questions, because they've spent a lot of time with this work.
So I have a question for you. So how did you know that art was something you wanted to pursue in the future of your career?
Well, I firstly wanted to be a filmmaker, and through that, I started drawing actually, and then I wanted to be a filmmaker, and then went to school for printmaking, but ended up majoring in photography. So I always had like a little bit of like a mixed thing. I feel like sticking to one medium sometimes is a little bit limiting to me, but it all started wanting to express my, it's pretty cliche. I wanted to express all my worries, all my things, and currently I've been focusing a lot in the LGBTQ plus community, like the Boricua one, specifically Puerto Rican, and social issues back home, because these are things that are not being seen here in the US. And since I am now here in Seattle, I feel like I have to push to make more of this work be seen here. So it's more of a trying to get my worries out there, but also help elevate these voices that are underrepresented in Puerto Rico.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Lily, you got a question?
Looks like it might be technical muting difficulties on that end.
Yeah.
So, Joe, when you were speaking about coming home and like how has it gotten more complicated where you think of yourself at home, or are you always feeling like I just wanted to hear more about like what home means, because it seems like it's very fraught.
I'm not sure if I understood the questions, but yeah, is it like, do I see myself going back home in the near future? Is that what you're?
Well, it seems like when you're home, you don't feel like you're at home any longer, and when you leave, you don't feel like you're at home in either place that you seem to, like
Yeah.
it's always.
Okay, thank you. I understood now. Yeah, it's a very complicated relationship, absolutely, and a very complicated question to answer as well. Definitely, my home and my heart is always in the archipelago. Like it's in Puerto Rico. There's no doubt about that. I had to go away because there was job scarcity and I needed to help my mom. So I had no other choice but to get here and get a higher salary, better paying job, which is what happens to a lot of us. We just leave because we don't have any other choice. My plan is to require the amount of experience as to and saved up money to come back home. And a lot of us are feeling the same way here, that we are trying to like get some sort of job experience or studying or something so we can come home and like take up space again and be more of a full-on force against what is happening down there. But definitely I do not feel at home here. I feel, even though we grow up watching North American culture in our TVs and taught that it's a better life and that there's some sort of savior and all that stuff, it's not the same. The culture shock is very intense, and it's very hard to find connection here. And especially in Seattle, there is not much of a Latino community here, and let alone Puerto Rican. So it's extremely isolated, which is one of the reasons why I've been looking actually to New York, because I know there's a Boricua scene there, and I feel it's going to be a little bit more closer to what I feel is home until I get the chance to come back. But I do want to come back. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it is complicated, and that is, it's clearly a tough place to be in. And I guess I don't know if Michaela has seen the question from the audience.
Oh,
there's a.
I have.
Okay.
The question was from the audience was, how do you find the balance between being a citizen during a tremendous time and also an artist who has to create work during a tremendous time?
I'm not sure if I understand that.
I think the tumultuous. So I think the question is pretty much asking, how do you find the balance between being a citizen and an artist during this pandemic?
Like living here in the States, or well, it's been a rough road. Since I moved here, I haven't had the chance to work as often as I did back home. Definitely, it took me some time to find inspiration again, to be honest. And it wasn't up until the protests started emerging that I was like, I need to do stuff again. And the fact that I have to be working so often to be able to sustain myself and be able to send money to my family is very hard to work and be creative again. But I'm trying. I've luckily found a job finally that they are very respectful of my time and that I need this time to create and go back to art and find places to apply for grants and exhibitions like this one. So finally, actually very not that long ago, I'm finally able to like find 50-50, you know, like able to work a lot and then also able to still be creative. I don't know if that answers that either.
Does the audience have any more questions for Joe?
Thank you all for the space and time. It's a beautiful exhibition. Thank you.
Thank you very much for submitting your piece. It is one of the few pieces that we all was like, yes, because everyone in this call, all the jurors were all agreeing to say yes to your pieces. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much. That makes me so happy. Thank you. Feel very honored.
Oh, so we got a couple comments from the audience. Gabby said, only comment, her art is amazing. She said that. And we have a question from Peter Van, and he said, or she, I didn't know, are there LGBTQ artists you respect and recommend we should look at?
Okay, sorry, I was muted. Oh, thank you, Gabby. I just okay, yes, actually, I can suggest a couple of LGBTQ artists. I feel like I should write them down and send them because they might get lost if I just like voice them like that. Is that okay?
We'll have a recording of this and we'll know who was here,
Oh,
and
okay.
we can email all that information to everyone who attends tonight. So you can get that to us and we'll get that to them.
Perfect. It's just that I want to sit and think like this instead of like la la la, you know.
Awesome.
But I will send that. Thank you. I will. Thank you for that question. Let me write it down.
So Lily, do you want to introduce the next artist?
I have no idea. I don't know who's next. I'm so sorry.
Michaela, do you want to take the next artist?
Yes. I'm gonna butcher the last names because I'm really bad at speaking in general. And I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. It's Chloe. And she is from Highland and she's Artifact alumni, Mill Street Law alumni to be more specific. And her art pieces speak to all of our hearts as we look at them. So Chloe, you are on the stage now.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to say thank you for having me, and this is a full circle moment for me, like having my work up at the Artifact, which I kind of know as Mill Street Loft. It's just really crazy, and to be alongside like all of these other amazing artists. Go Joe, by the way, that was a beautiful presentation. um, yeah, so I am a junior at the Maryland Institute College of Art. I'm studying painting. I'm currently at my home in Highland, New York, like with my parents, instead of like being in Baltimore where I would normally would be because of the pandemic. And I'm just kind of in my room doing classes online. But the great thing about it is that being at my parents' house has let me kind of like work a lot on my stuff, on my painting, and like it's given me the space to make larger work. So I'm going to share my screen and go into my little presentation. Okay. I'm just going to go back a few slides. All right. So I kind of do a lot of different things. So I kind of weeded this down. I'm always experimenting, and that's like definitely the thing I want to get across is like experimentation is so important in the studio, like keeping it fun and like not getting like bogged down in and like having like this one routine, like because that'll just make you, or at least me, go crazy. So I do photography as well as painting and like installation, whatever. So this work goes a lot quicker, and it allows me to also to like get ideas out. So these are photos. They're film photographic prints, color film specifically, and over top is like acrylic mediums and oil paint and other mixed media. And my work is kind of often like about these ambiguous like archetypal figures within a space, kind of like melding with an environment. And there's often like a spiritual quality. And I'm thinking about translucency and like what it means to like blend into an environment and kind of be like a chameleon to that space, and how like your inner and outer, like the inner and external world are always kind of like inseparable. And yeah, they're kind of psychological spaces. Yeah, and sometimes they're more like kind of sad. Sometimes they're more about like transcendent spaces and being kind of like one. And I think this is one of them. And also the work often relates to like the more ambiguous archetypes do sort of come from personal experience, like with people in my life. So the models are always like people who I'm really, really close to and comfortable with. Yeah. So these all have just like texture built up on top of them. I love this idea of kind of like the amorphous goo. That's what comes to mind. This kind of like ever-changing, like goopy substance that kind of makes up everything in the world. Like how mud is kind of, and like dirt is all about kind of like decomposed matter. And you might not see it in the work, but like these are these like extra things that I sort of think about when I'm making work. And this is the piece that got, or one of the pieces that got into the show, Homesick. This is like very much like a pandemic piece for me. It's kind of like, it's kind of about my sister and like the way she like kind of was living in this trailer, kind of alone, doing her thing every day, just being on the computer. And I often think about this concept of like blue light and just artificial light in general, but how we're constantly like bathing ourselves in like this blue light from our screens. And we're like connected through screens. And this is not just during the pandemic, it's always like what is connection nowadays in the digital age? And like, where does maybe spirituality intersect with that? And how does that come together? But how does it kind of deteriorate connection too? Like, it's just, yeah, it's endlessly fascinating to me. And like, the contradictions are just always kind of interesting. So this is a 4x4 piece that I just did for one of my classes, and I was trying to bring the texture from my like photo paintings like into the larger work. And yeah, it's kind of like fantastical. It's kind of about this like external environment that then also has this portal into like an internal world. And like a fun fact about this one is that this like intersection is actually like an aspect of my room, and these things and these kind of archetypal paintings that are based on tarot are actual like paintings that I have, like one behind me, and they're self-portraits, and they're kind of reimagining like the tarot deck, and in like a modern context. Yeah. This is another like newer piece. I was trying to get more into like abstraction. I always, as I said, I like always am trying to have fun in the studio. So like being able to like push paint around and kind of get into like a meditative mind state instead of like laboring over like realism, like it's really helpful for me like psychologically, like the whole process of being in the studio and doing that. And that's kind of what I was experimenting with here. So this is like kind of an unfinished like set of pieces that I plan to go to or get back to this summer. But like back to this piece, the whole like I just pointed at my screen as if you can see that. But this little section in the middle, that's, yeah, you guys see, but it's like these paintings that are the tarot paintings that I was talking about. And yeah, they're kind of bringing together ambiguous spirituality. I do have some like references to like Judaism in here because I identify with it culturally, but there's always just like this kind of ambiguous kind of mysticism that's happening in the work. And yeah, I installed it outside to kind of see how it would work in an environment, and this is like the inside installed. Yeah, there's another one. This is a painting that I also did in school, and it's kind of about this like echo chamber of perception. This is like, and kind of a longing. There's something very quiet and lonely about this piece. And I think that, yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. Yeah, I was doing a lot of these crazy, like, this is actually another piece that got in. This is kind of I paint a lot about like kind of isolation and the thoughts that we have by ourselves, or the moments that we have like by ourselves, and the intense emotions that come up, whether they be euphoric or like traumatizing. And this was just from a period in my life where I was just kind of going crazy. And so this is how I visually represented that. This is like an in progress, kind of thinking about the layering again. But in this case, it's more about like literal projection onto the body instead of just overlaying an image in Photoshop sort of thing. This is another in progress, just quick, and another in progress. Those are all 4x4 foot paintings. Yeah. And then these are just some inspirations, which I can quickly just go through. I don't want to take up too much time. And let me know if I'm like taking up a lot of time. So this is Jenny Morgan. I'm just obsessed with her work. It's also, to me, about that like ambiguous sense of spirituality and like divine feminine energy. And it's just so beautiful. Like the actual physical rendering of the figures and like the symbols, just endlessly blown away. And she's represented by a gallery locally in Beacon. So Mother Gallery, check it out. Other people, Julie Heffernan, Lisa Yuskevich. I love their sense of color, the way there's kind of like this filtered quality. They're very like fantastical. Neil Krug, some of you might know him from like the Tame Impala album. And once again, just this idea of like the like crazy layers of space and atmosphere. It's kind of like overwhelming and disorienting. And then the other thing is like, I started getting a lot of critique from people that like my work seems to have this response to movies. So I got really sick right before the pandemic. And then we were in quarantine. So I've had a lot of time on my hands. And I just kind of have been watching lots of like movies, and I've been thinking about how it kind of relates to the work and how I want to maybe incorporate these influences more. So these are some like kind of classic movies. Fantastic Planet, Asparagus by Susan Pitt. Y'all should check it out if you haven't seen. The Holy Mountain by Jodorowsky. The Color of Pomegranates by Sergei Perenov. Just absolutely stunning, like texture, color, just the fantasy element. It's just absolutely beautiful. Metropolis, kind of a lot of my work is like responding to the technology era. So like I always go back to this classic film and think about that. And then, yeah, my surroundings, blah, 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 tarot. I just want to quickly shout out my grandma. She's definitely a big influence. I'm doing a few paintings of her now. She does a lot of little rituals, and yeah, shout out grandma. And yeah, so like books, but yeah. All right, I think we're good. I'm gonna stop share. All right. Yeah, so that's my work. Thank you for listening. And yes.
Thank you for submitting your art into our show. It really brought a new perspective, another perspective of the pandemic to us. So my question was for you was, I literally forgot. It was pretty much what inspired you to like create these pieces, like as you were like painting all these pieces, like what inspired you to like say, this is the position I wanted, this is how I know I get the colors part because we're on digital, yes, but inspired you to like say, this is how it is.
Yeah, so first of all, I have like a funny story that goes along with one of these. And I'm gonna refer back to a painting. I almost feel like I should pull it up. Maybe I should. Is that a thing I can? Okay, cool. What the heck? Okay, cool. Are you guys seeing this? Are y'all seeing this?
Yep.
I'm not seeing your faces.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, got your faces back. Cool. So this piece is actually like a painting from my freshman year dorm. I was in this crazy cramped dorm. I was in a triple room that was originally meant to be a double. And it was just like, and I don't know, there are a lot of mental shifts and changes that happen when you go to college the first year. And I was just like not in the best place mentally. We'll just say that. And I would often sleep on the couch or just work all night in the living room, and that's where this is. And so one night I just decided to take a bunch of self-portraits, like in the middle of the night while everyone else was sleeping, because I was kind of in like this craze mode. And I just wanted to document it. It felt like the right thing to do. I was like, all right, I feel like crap. Like I'm gonna try and make it into art. And so I took a bunch of photos and just all of these crazy poses, like one after the other. It was very like fast. And yeah, so that's actually where this painting came from. And I wanted the composition to like kind of get this disorienting, tall, like almost looming window and the space outside, like over the figure, to kind of make the figure feel small in the space, because that's how I felt. I was into all of these like fetal position paintings because like I kept feeling like such like a vulnerable little baby. And yeah, so that's that. Yeah. And the other one, let me go back to it. So for this one, I actually started it as a plein air painting. Like I literally just was doing like the painting of the landscape outside, like from life. Because I knew I wanted it in there, but I wasn't sure of like what I was gonna do. But I had taken all of these pictures of my sister and as like a test shot with this specific shutter that's called a stroboscopic flash. And it just felt like it worked. Like I just loved the idea of putting that image on top of this one and like melding them together, because it felt like I can put my sister with her space, you know? So I don't have much to say other than that. It just kind of came together. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna stop share. Yeah. Thank you for your question.
Thank you for answering.
There's another question. Do the models that you choose to work with influence your work since they are people that you're close to?
Absolutely. I mean, like, because I intimately know the experiences like of the people that are close to me, I feel like I can kind of almost take them as like an archetype of their like, I don't know, like I don't want to sound like I'm making someone like a one-dimensional person, but kind of using that person and their experience as like a character in my painting helps me to really connect with the work and be interested and like feel authentic, because I think you need to paint from your life. I mean, you have to make work from your experience, and like, yeah.
Thank you for answering that question for our participants. I meant for our audience. Does the audience have any more questions at all?
I have to say I love your style, by the way.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
It's very detailed.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I spend a lot of time just like with a tiny little brush.
One of our attendees said, it's a different one. Okay, said, you had a lot of work in progress. How do you keep so many going at the same time?
To be honest, I kind of just, maybe that's a lie. I was gonna say I just started doing that, but that's not true. I'm like very ADHD, like literally actually. So I have to bounce from one thing to the next because I'm constantly just having ideas. And like, it actually gives me anxiety to just have to have a plan and see it out and then move to the next, like in a linear fashion. Like my brain doesn't move like that. And also deadlines. I'm in school, I'm a student. So I kind of have to be doing multiple things at once. And having those deadlines actually really helps me finish stuff. So yeah.
Joanna, do you have any questions for Chloe at all?
Thanks for asking, Michaela. I echo the question about because the sitters for your portraits or for your artwork are so intimately connected to you, and I really appreciated your answer on how you kind of turn them into characters, although they are not unidimensional. So that was just nice to hear. I think I'm all set. Thanks, Michaela.
Okay, and it seems that our participants haven't asked a question yet. So thank you very much, Chloe, and we'll be talking to the next artist now. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My camera turned off. Okay, so our next artist is Trinity Thomas. They are a very talented artist. I've seen their art a couple times and it still amazes me every single time. And I will let them speak. So there you go.
Hello, happy to be a part of the exhibit. My name is Trinity. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. I started painting before photography. I've been in a talented art program throughout my whole school year, since second grade to graduation. And I started photography when I was like 15 years old, I want to say. And I use movies a lot as my inspiration. What else? Yeah, that's about it. I'm gonna go ahead on to my photos to show y'all. Let me share my screen. Okay. So this is from the Lost in Quarantine series, I call it. This photo right here is the one that's at the exhibit at Trolley Barn. I know I wanted to do a project to like center on the whole pandemic, just so I can add that to my collection, something to remember. And I had an idea to have like, I want to say scarecrows, but they're not scarecrows, but like puppet, like mannequin thingies. When I was younger, I would say like in third grade, fourth grade, my great grandpa, he had these jumpsuits. And for Halloween, I would stuff them with newspaper and sit them on the porch with pumpkins and stuff, just to get in the Halloween spirit. So I was like, I was thinking it would be cool to do that for a photo shoot. And the name of this photo is called "The Company Is Here." And I was thinking, what if a couple was bored at home, been stuck in their house for like months, and they miss having people around, so they make their own people so they won't feel lonely. This first photo right here, I call it "Inside Too Long." It seems like they're going crazy because their reflection is looking back at them, but they're looking away. And here's just a couple more from the series. These are really close friends of mine as well, Andre and Passion. Most of all the creatives in the city in New Orleans, we really work a lot. Really, almost everybody knows each other. You can see the little scarecrow thingy back here. And to move on from that, to show you guys some other stuff I worked on. This is a collaboration me and my photographer friend Elvira worked on. We wanted to do like a horror series, and the idea came from like movies being my favorite inspiration for my photo shoots. I wanted to do something that looks cinematic, and the description for this photo is how police officers in America are torturing Black communities and getting away with murder, having blood on their hands, and there's nothing to do with it. So they just continue to torture the Black community. This model right here to the right, supposed to be a Karen, always causing trouble. This photo here is inspired from the movie Midsummer, one of my favorite movies. The model, he's supposed to be really masculine, and to show that masculinity does have a soft side. So flowers shouldn't really harm like my masculinity. And this photo here, I think this is the last one. This photo here is showing men surround this trans person right here, showing that we are all like supporting trans bodies and showing equality, that we are with you and you're not alone. It's also inspired from the movie Midsummer. I don't know if y'all seen that movie. It was pretty big. I think it came out like 2019 or 2018. Yeah, that's it. Any questions?
Okay, one of our attendees asked, a lot of your art has strong cinematic parallels. Would you ever consider making a film?
Yes. A friend of mine, she is like helping me plan out a short film. I love horror movies, so I do want to do like a short horror film. I do have something in the works. It's still in the beginning stages. We're still trying to like make a plot and all that. And another friend of mine, he wants me to creative direct on a film that he's making. So I'm slowly getting my way into it.
My question is, were you self-taught, or did you learn your skills from like a mentor or like college?
I did not attend college. I would say I am self-taught, just from messing around with the options on the camera a lot, figuring stuff out, knowing what I like. And YouTube is your best friend in case you don't know how to do something.
Joanna, do you have any questions for Trinity?
Sure. I actually am interested in, a lot of this work is arts, art production. And I'm wondering if there's a commercial side to your work that you do you consider yourself a fully a photographer as an art photographer, or do you also support a commercial, like a pursuit in order to support yourself?
Doing commercial work, I do put a lot of my creative direction in it, because I'm figuring like that's why they hired me, because they like what I do in the creative side that I give out to my work. So yeah, I do put a lot of my creative input into that, like when working with clientele.
So I guess to follow up on that, how did you kind of break into having clients and like get into to move into that world? Because it's, did someone find you, or did you seek out someone?
I think from people noticing my work, they'll just like email me or send a DM asking me to do a photo shoot, and the word just spreads out. And I guess this is how it happens. I am working for myself. I'm freelancing, so I do have like clientele and stuff just to make money on the side.
Do you have plans for this couple, what they're going to do after they get their vaccines?
You're giving me ideas. I never thought about that. Wow, I'm gonna remember that. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do something with that. Thanks, Joanna. I'm gonna think on it.
Please do. I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to hold you to
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Lily, do you want to ask the question from the attendees?
Sure. Nicole asks, do you do much photo editing on these, or these are how they are shot?
Yeah, all my photos are edited. I feel like if I don't edit my photos, I feel like it's not mine, because I like to put all of my input into my work. Before I was taking pictures, I was painting. So I want to treat my photos as a painting, like editing wise, just like building it out, making beautiful presets, and playing with colors and shadows and lighting.
Thank you, Trinity, so much. And thank you for all the participants and artists that joined us today.
Thank
And
you.
because this could have never happened without all you artists submitting and like putting your hearts into our show. So thank you so much. I very much appreciate all of you. Lily, do you want to say anything to the rest of the artists?
It's been great seeing everyone's work, and it's really inspiring, and I had good time.
Thank you for wrapping us up like that. With that, it's a great way to go out. I had a good time too. I hope you did all. And this will be recorded and it will be posted for everyone to share with others who couldn't make it here tonight. And again, thank you all and have a great night and kudos to all.